Right, it's becoming more and more common for politicians to give in and abandon their principles and beliefs when they realise they're going against the grain, and not just individual politicians. As you know, I've been pretty critical of some political parties as well. Take the Indigenous Treaty process in Victoria, which, when it passes as expected, will see the state of Victoria enter into a treaty with their own Indigenous citizens over 171 years on from when the colony of Port Phillip was first established. Now, I'm the first to say that reconciliation is crucial, absolutely critical, when the lives of many Indigenous Australians, particularly women and children, face worse outcomes than their non-Indigenous counterparts. But you don't achieve unity and change by dividing Australians by race or by setting up structures that relitigate events of past centuries in ways that detract from our shared future. So when the Victorian Liberal Party and the National Party sided with the Greens and Labor yesterday to support a treaty between the state of Victoria and Indigenous Victorians, it was the lone voice of Tim Smith in the Parliament that stood out. Tim Smith is the Liberal member for Kew, and he joins me now. Tim, thank you for your time. I want to play a little grab of a pretty powerful speech you gave in the Parliament yesterday. Take a listen.
I do not believe that a government, particularly a state government, can enter into treaties with their own citizens. This land belongs to all Australians, black and white alike, and divisive tokenism, like this treaty, further perpetuates the further undermining of Australia's unity.
Not an easy thing to take a stand against your own party. What motivated you to speak out?
Because this is profoundly wrong. It's something that, if I'd been a member of the Shadow Cabinet, I would have quit the Shadow Cabinet. You can't ensure a treaty with your own people. Mm-hmm. Aboriginal Australians are our fellow Australian citizens. Now, that phrase, Aboriginal Australians are our fellow citizens, that took centuries to achieve. It was a torturous process, and we finally got there 50 years ago. We're regressing. Mm-hmm. We're going backwards. You can't treat people of different race differently in a liberal democracy. It's a fundamental principle. Nelson Mandela said, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white alike. The same goes for Australia. And quite frankly, when 49% of Victorians either were born overseas or have a parent that was born overseas, holding them responsible for the crimes on the frontiers of the Port Phillip district of New South Wales by not a majority, but a number of settlers who did perpetuate atrocities and massacres. It's 190 years ago, and we're being held responsible for that now. That's ridiculous. It's not fair and it's wrong.
So I've spoken to a number of your Liberal colleagues, quite a bit of dissent. They don't all like the decision that was taken, but they all seem to have rolled over. You're the lone voice speaking out. This isn't really what the Liberal Party has stood for. I mean, it's always valued the rights of individuals. It's always argued for equality before the law. I mean, I'm very proud that the Liberal side of politics put the first Indigenous person, Neville Bonner, into the federal parliament. So why buy in? I mean, this is a Labor creation. Why buy into a state-based treaty anyway?
It's a fear of having an argument. It's a fear of actually making the case that the zeitgeist, the Labor Party and its fellow travellers in the media are wrong. And I don't know why the Liberal Party is being led by the National Party in this case. The leader of the National Party is the Shadow Minister for Aboriginal Affairs in Victoria. Now, why wouldn't the Libs stand up to the Nats? Jacinta Price, who I called this week to get some advice on this matter. Now, she sits in the National, she's a member of the CLP in the Northern Territory, but she sits in the National Party room.
In Canberra?
In Canberra. Yeah. She thinks this treaty in Victoria is wrong. She thinks it's divisive and it will change nothing with regards to practical outcomes for Indigenous Victorians.